Hello everyone, welcome to the greenhouse and welcome to the channel. I'm Danny. I hope this video finds you well. Today's video is brought to you by OrchidSupplyStore.com. They have everything, all the supplies you need for your orchid hobby and your houseplant hobby. And if you use the coupon code Danny, D-A-N-N-I, you will receive 12% off. I will leave a link to their website in the description of this video, so go check that out. Today's video is a video that I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it for beginner Phalaenopsis growers. And these are 6 easy steps that you can do, that you can take to help your Phalaenopsis orchid thrive. Number 1, you want to use a pot that has drainage holes. Drainage holes come on the bottom of the pots and or the bottom and the sides. And you can find all these sizes plus more at OrchidSupplyStore.com. And the reason why you want to use a pot that has drainage on the bottom is so that excess water that your root system does not absorb can drain out. If it cannot drain out, it's going to rot your roots on your orchid. And if you want to add a little flair, a little decoration, find yourself whatever beautiful decorative pot you want, and you can just place that inner pot with drainage inside of your decorative pot. Number 2, you want to make sure you are using a media that is suitable for orchids. Orchids are epiphytic plants, and their root systems in Mother Nature attach themselves to trees or large rocks. They do not grow in soil. If you repot your Phalaenopsis orchid in potting soil, it will smother those roots, it will suffocate the roots of the orchid, and your orchid will eventually die. I like using this specific orchid bark right here, and this is what it looks like. But you can use bark, you can use moss, and you can use small pebbles. I have Phalaenopsis planted in all 3 of those, and whichever one you want to use, please keep in mind it will determine how frequently you have to water. If you have your orchid planted in moss, you won't have to water it as frequently as you would if you had it planted in small pebbles. Number 3, you want to find the right window to set your orchid in. And this can be a little tricky because not all of us have a copious amount of window seals and window space for solely growing our beautiful Phalaenopsis orchids. So if you have a window that's getting too much sunlight, it's just too intense, then you can use a sheer cloth or a sheer curtain, hang that up in that window, and that will diffuse the intense light, and it will become the perfect spot for your Phalaenopsis orchid. Isn't this a beauty? Number 4, you need to provide air movement for your Phalaenopsis orchid, whether you're growing inside a home or in a greenhouse or any kind of grow space. They need air movement. This helps prevent rotting issues, and it just helps prevent the air from becoming stagnant and stale. So if you have ceiling fans, that's a great way, or you can buy yourself an oscillating fan. And here in the greenhouse, I use an oscillating fan. And in my home, in my living room, I use the ceiling fans. And they do not have to be on 24/7. I turn them off at nighttime, and it really helps prevent rot and helps your orchid thrive. Number 5 is humidity. You need to provide humidity for your Phalaenopsis orchid. They really thrive in 45 to 65% humidity. So if your humidity is low inside of your home, you can get yourself just a cheap little humidifier. It doesn't have to be anything big or expensive or fancy. Just a little one, and you set it next to your growing Phalaenopsis, and they'll be very happy. They want humidity, they need humidity to thrive. Lastly, number 6, water your orchid only when it needs it, instead of watering after a certain number of days. And what that means is you need to look at your orchid. It'll tell you when it needs to be watered. This is when your orchid does not need to be watered. Do you see how those roots are still green? This orchid does not need to be watered. Those roots are still wet. This orchid here, let me pull it out for you. You see the difference in color? How they're almost all have a silver white sheen to them. This orchid needs to be watered. So your orchid will let you know when it needs to be watered versus watering it on a specific schedule every week, because that can kill your orchid very quickly because it might not need to be watered, or it might have gone too long without watering. I sincerely hope this easy six-step video is helpful to beginner orchid growers. Thanks for coming along. Happy growing. Stay safe. Till next time.